Welcome to this IELTS Listening Practice Test, brought to you by Spinta, your partner in English exam success. This test simulates the real IELTS listening experience with authentic question types, timing, and difficulty levels you'll encounter on exam day. You'll hear the audio only once, just like in the actual test, so stay focused and keep your pencil ready. Remember to read the questions carefully during the preparation time and transfer your answers accurately. This practice will help you build confidence, improve your listening skills, and familiarize yourself with the IELTS format.
Part 1. Now look at Part 1. You will hear a woman calling a company to book a house survey. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Good morning, Thompson Surveyors. Tom speaking. How can I assist you?
Hello, I'm in the process of buying a house, and I need to arrange for a survey to be done.
Certainly. I can help you with that. Can I start by taking your surname, please?
Yes, it's Price.
Price. Okay, Mrs. Price. And what type of survey were you looking for? We offer a basic home buyer's report or a full structural survey.
Given the age of the property, I think I'll need the full structural survey.
A structural survey. A wise choice for an older house. How old is the property, roughly?
It was built in the 1930s, so it's about 90 years old.
90 years. Okay. Are there any specific issues you're concerned about?
Yes, I'd like the surveyor to pay particular attention to the roof. It looks a bit old from the outside.
I'll make a special note of that. Focus on the roof. Based on the size and age of the property, the quoted cost for a full structural survey would be £350.
£350. Okay. How long will the actual survey take?
For a house of that age, our surveyor will need to be on site for 1 full day to do a thorough job.
A full day. And will they need access to all parts of the house?
Yes. Please ensure the estate agent knows that the surveyor will need access to all areas, including the loft, as that's a key part of the roof inspection.
Access to the loft, right? And what does the final report look like?
It's a very detailed document. It will include full written explanations of any issues we find, along with detailed photographs to illustrate the points.
Photographs. That's very helpful. And how do I receive it?
To speed things up, we send the full report by email as a PDF document. We can post a hard copy as well if you need one.
Email is perfect. And when is payment due?
We send the invoice along with the report, so payment is due upon receipt of the report.
Due on receipt. That's all very clear. Thank you for your help.
Part 2. Now look at Part 2. You will hear the president of a local film club giving a welcome talk to new members. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the Eastgate Film Club.
My name is Simon, and I'm the president of the club. It's fantastic to see so many new members joining us for the new season. For those of you who are new, I just want to explain a little about what we do. We're not a club that shows the latest Hollywood blockbusters. Our main purpose is to show a range of independent films from around the world that you might not normally get a chance to see. We meet here in the community hall twice a month, on the first and third Tuesday of every month. The screenings start at 7:30 p.m. sharp. I'm also thrilled to announce that, thanks to a grant from the Arts Council, we've been able to make a major upgrade to our facilities this year. We now have a brand new high-definition projector, which will make the viewing experience much better for everyone. One of the best parts of the club is the chance to talk about the films. We encourage lively debate, but we do have one important rule. Please wait until after the film is finished. We hold our informal post-film discussions in the cafe next door, not in the hall itself, so we don't disturb the staff who are cleaning up. Now, looking ahead, we have a fantastic program for you. Our first season is French cinema. To celebrate this, we'll be serving French wine and cheese at the screenings, so we're offering themed food and drink. Following that is our documentary season. For our final screening in that season, we're very excited to have a Q&A session with an expert on the film's subject matter. After that, we have our much-loved silent film season. And for our screening of the classic film Metropolis, we will have live music accompaniment from a local pianist, which is always a magical experience. Then we move on to Japanese animation, and for our opening film, we're delighted that a well-known film critic will be giving an introduction to the movie. Our classic Hollywood season will be a real treat, and as a special bonus, we'll be offering free popcorn for members at all of those screenings. And finally, our last season of the year is our short film season. This is where we showcase up-and-coming talent, and it culminates in our annual student film competition. So, a lot to look forward to. I hope you enjoy this season.
Part 3. Now look at Part 3. You will hear two geography students, Chloe and James, discussing their fieldwork project with their tutor, Dr. Stevens. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Okay, Chloe, James, let's talk about your fieldwork project on the impact of tourism. How did you find the data collection process?
It was interesting, but we faced a few challenges with our different methods. When we started the literature review, there was so much written on the topic that it was difficult to find a clear focus for our own project.
A common problem. And the visitor survey?
That was tricky. We asked people about their environmental habits, but we got the strong impression that people gave misleading answers. They told us what they thought we wanted to hear, rather than what they actually do.
Social desirability bias. Yes, that's a key methodological issue. What about the local businesses?
We planned to interview 20 business owners, but in the end, only 5 agreed to speak to us. So our main problem there was that the sample size was too small to be representative.
I see. And the environmental survey?
We wanted to measure footpath erosion, but the main footpath we had identified was closed for repairs on the day we were there, so access to the area was restricted.
And finally, when we looked at the analysis of council data on tourism numbers, we found the most recent figures they had were from 3 years ago. So the data was outdated.
Okay, so you had some challenges. What was the most surprising outcome of your research?
For me, it was the negative attitude of local business owners. We expected them to be very pro-tourism, but the few we spoke to were actually very concerned about its impact on the town.
That's a very interesting finding. Now, thinking about your report, what would you say is the biggest weakness of your study as a whole?
I think it's the fact we collected all our data in October, which is the off-season. The results would probably be very different in August. So the time of year we collected data is a major limitation.
I agree. It's a snapshot, not the full picture. To improve your report, I'd also suggest you add a historical perspective. How has tourism in the area changed over the last 50 years? That would add valuable context.
A historical perspective? That's a great idea. And for the environmental survey section, since we couldn't measure footpath erosion, what should we do?
Well, we did collect good data on something else. Rubbish. I think we should adapt that section to focus only on the issue of litter, as we have solid data for that.
An excellent solution. Play to your strengths. So what is your immediate next step?
I think we need to formalize this new structure. The best thing would be to create a detailed report outline with all the new sections and a clear plan before we start writing.
Exactly. A good plan is half the battle. Get started on that.
Part 4. Now look at Part 4. You will hear a lecture on the topic of brutalist architecture. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Good morning. In today's lecture on architectural movements of the 20th century, we're going to focus on one of the most controversial and often misunderstood styles, brutalism. Brutalism is an architectural style that emerged in the 1950s, primarily in the United Kingdom, during the period of Reconstruction after the Second World War. The name itself is quite striking. It does not, as many people assume, come from the word brutal. It actually originates from the French term béton brut, which translates as raw concrete. This name was first associated with the pioneering architect Le Corbusier, who specified béton brut for many of his post-war buildings. This style is defined by several key characteristics. Firstly, as the name suggests, a preference for exposed, unfinished concrete. Secondly, brutalist buildings are typically massive, fortress-like structures, often with blocky, monolithic forms. They have a weight and a seriousness to them. A core principle of the movement was an honesty of materials. The architects didn't want to cover up the building's construction with decorative elements. They wanted the raw structure, the concrete, the brick, the steel, to be visible. This honesty extends to the building's layout. The building's exterior often clearly shows its internal function. You can read the building from the outside. You can see where the lecture halls are, where the offices are, and so on. Brutalism was most commonly used for large-scale public projects, universities, libraries, government buildings, and particularly social housing. It was seen as a forward-looking, democratic style, providing modern, functional buildings for ordinary people. However, from the 1970s onwards, brutalism fell dramatically out of favor. Critics often describe the style as cold, inhuman, and impersonal. The vast expanses of raw concrete were seen as unwelcoming and oppressive. There were practical problems too. Raw concrete can be very expensive to maintain. Furthermore, the rough surface is prone to weathering and decay, especially in damp climates, which can lead to staining and a general look of dereliction. In recent years, however, there has been a significant reassessment of the style. A new generation of architects and critics have developed a new appreciation of its architectural importance, its bold vision, and its powerful sculptural forms. Many brutalist buildings that were once threatened with demolition are now being listed and protected as important heritage sites. This ongoing debate about brutalism's value reminds us that our perception of architecture is constantly changing.
And pencils down. You've survived another IELTS listening marathon. If your brain feels like it just ran a mental obstacle course, congratulations. That means you're doing it right. Want to torture yourself with more tests? We mean enhance your skills? Head to Spinta.org, that's Spinta.org, where we've got reading, writing, speaking practice, and vocabulary games that are actually fun. Yes, fun and IELTS in the same sentence. We're rebels like that. Thanks for listening with Spinta. Now go treat yourself to something nice. You've earned it. Spinta. Push forward. Achieve more.